Hey everybody, how's it going today? So today we're going to do something a little bit different today. So this has been going on my head for quite some time, and I've been wanting to get down to it the best I can, explain everything how I can, to the best I know how. So for those of you out there who want to get into ham radio and get your feet wet into it, there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of ground. So today I'm going to try to do my best to explain the basics, and I'm not going to go live on radio today. I'm not going to do a live DMR. I'm not going to do HF today. I just want to take my channel to a different little bit level here today, so bear with me. So what you guys want to do here is, if you want to get into ham radio, you first need to get your ham radio license. And the best way to do that is to find yourself a club, an amateur radio club, then ask a friend if they know about ham radio. Ask any special way you can get into, if they know anybody that does a radio club. And I'm just go to your local town or wherever you're at, and find your radio club. And then what you want to do next is find some books to study. And there's thousands and thousands of books out there, and everyone's going to have a different opinion on how to get started into amateur radio. But when I first got into it back in 2010, I came across something that was very, very helpful. And this guy, I studied and studied and studied, and he was the best thing that ever happened to me to get my license. So I'm going to show you a picture here real quick what he does. So there are 3 classes that you must take if you're interested to get into ham radio. There's 3 of them. So the first one is called the technician class. That's the very first one. Now what that does is it goes into VHF and UHF and a little bit of HF activity, and I'll go into that here in a second. And then the second class license is called the general, and that gives you part way into HF, part of the way, and I'll explain some more in detail into that here in a second. And then the third is what's called the extra amateur radio class, and that is a very tough one to get, a very tough one, and that's very hard to get. And I believe, if I remember right, the tech and the class have 35 question pool, and the extra class has 50. I could be wrong, but I think that's still going to this day. Now, what this guy did was there's like 700 or 800 questions that the FCC makes, and he took all those questions and he broke them down, and he put it all into one book, and he he explained everything so well. It was amazing. He broke it down into detail of how they were and how it all what's out there, and just like, wow, there was so much information on that. It was unbelievable. So then, after you get started doing that, here's what else you need to do. Go to QRZ.com, and then you go over here to where it says resources, and I'll go here in a second. So you go over to resources, and right here it'll say practice amateur radio exams. Now today it's updated a lot. So for example, the technician will discuss purpose and permissible use of the amateur radio service operator primary station license grant, meetings of basic terms used in FC rules, interface, races, rules, blah blah blah. A bunch of garbage if you ask me. So then it breaks it down into T1A. These are all broken down from A through, looks like, well, I thought it was alphabetical. I guess not. So A, B, C, D. This all explains of how it all breaks down. And there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot. And then after you get this much passed, you take the ultimate test, which is right here. And I believe there's 35. Yeah, 35 questions here. And it takes all those questions, and it just and then you have to memorize all of them correctly. Like here's, for example, which of the following VHF, UHF band segments are limited to CW only? And they'll ask you that question. And then which of the following devices or circuit changes an alternating current into a varying direct current signal? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. It's unbelievable. And there's a lot of ground. There's a lot of ground to cover in it. I mean, wow. And it's very, very fun. It's very fun. And then what you probably want to do is, when you get into that, you want to go into the DX engineering and find your first mobile radio or HF radio, depending on how much you want to spend. And there's a lot, there's a lot to cover in here too. So depending on your favorite website, like Ham Radio Outlet or DX Engineering, I prefer DX Engineering. And like, let's say you passed your technician license and you want to get on 2 meters. Well, here's an example. Let's say you want to buy the Alinco DR735 VHF UHF transceivers. So this is ranging from $330 USA, or you want to get the Alinco Advanced Dual, which will do 136 through 174 megahertz, and plus 400 through 480 plus DMR, which is, wow, that's amazing. And these are all the mobile radios. Now, for some of you that may like mobile radio, that's pretty good. Now, my area, it's not so great because the 2 meters in my state is bad. I mean, it's bad. Now, other states, it might be pretty well active. It's pretty well active. Here in my state, it's not so much. So then, whoops, wrong website. So then here's all the mobile radios if you're interested in 2 meters and 70 centimeters. This will get you your feet wet into the technician band class, pretty much. Hey, how you doing? Hi, Andy. Welcome on. Right on. So then, so today, Andy, I'm discussing how to get your feet wet into amateur radio, and I'm going to see how well I'm going to explain this. I'm not a very good explainer, so I'm going to try my best to do it. So then, you get all your mobile radios here. You got this one, which is $349, and this all depends on how much money you want to spend. It all depends. So then, I'm surprised this is still going on, this one. So then, you get a 2 meter plus, my bad. This is just a 10 meter watt version only. Okay, so that's 10 meters. That will get your feet wet into technician license. So, I'm going to show you real quick how that works. So, that radio that I just showed you, that, where'd it go? Alinco. Okay, the Alinco DR. This will do 10 meters right across here. This will all do your 10 meters. Now you can transmit on 10 meters using a technician license, starting from 2088.00 all the way up to 2970. And you can use your technician license on 12 meters as well. Now from here down is pretty much HF. This is all the HF levels. Now, some privileges are okay to be used, I believe, on technician licenses, and it gets a little technical and confusing here, but I'm going to try to explain the best I can. So on the 12 meter band, from 24.930 all the way up to 24.90, I believe you can use your technician license, plus your general and extra. Now, on 15 meters, it gets a little confusing. I believe, if I'm right, from 2100 all the way up to 21.200, I believe you can use your technician license there, if I'm wrong. Hey, thank you, Andy. And then your general class license, you start from 21.200, pretty much the entire band you got, all the way up to 450 on 15 meters. Now, this is advanced extra. Okay, so on the extra class, you can do 225 all the way up to 450, and plus the entire band, of course. The extra class can do the entire band. But you're limited on some places with the technician. You're limited. Now, and same thing with 17 meters. Did I say 18? Okay. So, on the 17 meters, the same thing. Your technician license will only go from 18.68 all the way up to 18.110 on technician only. Then your general and extra, you got the rest of the phone segment from 110 all the way up to 168, and you're pretty well covered there. Same thing on 20. You got 1400 all the way up to 150. You can use, I believe some of it you can use on your tech. It depends. And then, quote me if I'm wrong on that. I could be wrong a little bit on that. But, am I right on that, Andy? If you're still watching, am I right on that? I think you can. Okay, for tech. Okay, good deal. Okay, thanks, Andy, for letting me know that. And then, I believe, on 14.150... through 350, you can use your general and extra on those bands as well. Extra, you're allowed 150 through 225, and then from 225 through 350 is your general extra license, and you have to follow those rules. You have to. Now, 30 meters, it doesn't matter. Tech through extra, it doesn't matter because that's only Morse code only. That whole band is Morse code. And then, as you go further on down, same thing with 40 meters. From 7.00 through 7.125, you're allowed to be on the technician bands there. And then same breakdown again, from 125 through 175 is your extra. And then from 175 to 300 is your general and extra. And keep in mind, you got to only transmit in those areas. If you're a general license, here's an example. If you only have a general license, you can only transmit from 7.175 through 7.300. And same thing with the other bands. You got to know where to transmit. for example, on 20, it's the same thing from 14.225 through 350, and then so far and on. Now, 60 meter band can get a little technical because it's channelized like a CB radio. It's channelized, and you have to be very careful on this one because it can be very confusing. I don't know too much about 60 meters. It's very, very technical and channelized, so I would recommend staying away from that until you really get good at it, and ask a friend for you on that, because I don't want to give out the wrong information on the 60 meter bands. All I know is it's channelized like a CB radio. It's channelized, and it can get very, I don't know too much about that one. And then same thing with 80 meters. You can go from 3.5 up to 3.6 with tech, and then from 3.6 to 3.8 looks like you can do amateur extra, and then from 3.8 through 400 is general, pretty much. Hey, hi, you doing, Roadhouse? Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining in. And same thing with 160 meters. That's the same thing. You can do tech, not tech. I believe tech. Well, yeah, you can do tech. Okay. So you can do. No, you can't. Okay, no, you can't. So you can do general and extra only on that, looks like. I have never heard of 630 meters. I have no clue what that is. Must be something that the 5 watts only. 5 watts, I have no idea what that's for. I have never transmitted on there. I never had to. 2,200 meters, I've never heard of that either. That looks like, I thought that was for airport stuff. Okay. So that's new to me. Interesting. All right, so then that's how that's all broken down. And it's very, it can get very, very confusing. I understand. Now, I'm going to take you back to the HF band, to the HF radios. Now, some of these radios can go very, very pricey. Some of them are extremely pricey. They can go, wow. Anywhere from $1,000 all the way up to $10,000, if I remember right. And I'll take you there real quick. For those of you who want to be a contest guru, I go by Yaesu. Some others may like ICOM, Kenwood, ELAD. I've never done those. So here's an ICOM 7760. It goes up to $6,000. It's a 1.8 through 6 meter band. And then it's just like I told you in the band plan. You can transmit on all bands from 1.8 through 6 meters. Total HF plus shortwave in there somewhere. And then as you go on down, you get another radio called the ICOM 7760. That's another good radio. That's a good one. And another $5,700 radio looks like. And then you got a little miniature ICOM radio, an ICOM 7100, which does HF 6 meter, 2 meter, 70 centimeter D-Star, which I plan to get down into here in the future very soon. And then it does a couple other things. I'm not sure what DV means, or W. I guess it means wide FM. 22 amps. That's the voltage and all that. How much voltage it draws, and then so forth. And then this one is my favorite because I used to do contesting a long time ago. I wish I could get this one, the Yaesu FTDX 101P. This is a 200 watt radio built in. This is for 4,500. Someday I might get that one. And then you got your ICOM, another ICOM, which does all HF bands, 100 watts only. That's a new one. Never seen that one before. So that does 1.8 through 6 meters, 200 memories. And then you got your ICOM, another ICOM 9700, which will do VHF, UHF, and 1.2 gigahertz. Now, I'm not too familiar with 1.2 gigahertz. I'm not too familiar with that. That's kind of that requires a lot of wattage, and I'm not too familiar with. And I think if I'm right, the antenna can get very, very hot. I believe if you have the right antenna, it can get very hot. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong or right on that. If it's up in the gigahertz or maybe that's sheer high frequency. I believe the antennas can get very hot on that. I've never done that. I don't think you'd find anybody up in those parts. Not anymore. Maybe you can. And then you got the Yaesu. I got this radio still, the Yaesu FTDX10. It's a very good radio. I love it. But if you go this radio, you got to be a little careful because I've heard some good and bad situations with this. For example, if you hooked up a big, I'm going to try to get to it. If you hooked up right here where it says external display, you got to match the ports directly from DVI to DVI, because if you don't, if you hook up a DVI to USB, depending on your current situation, it could fry the motherboard inside. It could fry it. That's a possibility. So keep that in mind if you were to go with this radio. Same thing with the Yaesu FTDX1010MP. I've heard stories where the motherboard got fried because they put too big of a TV up or too big of a display and they didn't match the units and so forth. So this is a very good radio. This one I would recommend. Just be careful if you were to hook up an external display. I would recommend this one for those newbies out there that want to get into ham radio. So then, yeah, and I love this radio. It's got an oscilloscope. It's got a speaker, a built-in, looks like a speaker you can go with it, and there's a 3D display, what it looks like. Wow. And it's a good radio. I like it. It pulls in those weak. What I like about it is it pulls in those weak signals very, very well. Very well. Yes, I agree. Thank you for that, Roadhouse. I agree with that. That's because the HDMI and USB induced voltage towards the radio. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay. Wow. So that's interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, well, thank you, Roundhouse. Thank you for that. And that's another reason why I took away that big display, because I didn't want to take a chance of that happening. Because exactly like Roundhouse just said here, it will cause a problem between the HDMI and USB induced voltage towards the radio, and that could cause problems. I agree. Thank you, Roundhouse, for mentioning that. Thank you. And then, let's see. What else am I missing here? Okay, so then, if you guys want to go bigger and bigger, let's say you want to go into the antennas. Now, that's another thing you're going to have to look into is antennas. So, the antennas, there's a wide variety. I'm not too familiar with Yankees or HFN beams, but if you're a serious contester or like to catch those grand places of DX and overseas, you want to get yourself a good size antenna, good size. Now, here's one for 2300. It's a Skyhawk tri-band. 20, 15, 10 meters, 20, 10 elements. It's a 10 element, 24-foot boom. And it's massive. Now, depending on the yard space, of course, in the back house of your house and where you live, you have to go through all the regulations in airport and vice versa. If you're out in the woods or forest, it don't matter so much, I don't think. So this is a very good tower. It's made by K2LNS. Very good structure. And it's, wow. But it depends on how much money you want to throw in, how much money you want to spend, and all this and that. Because it can go from $200 all the way up to $10,000. It can get very, very pricey. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot. But it's well worth it. It's well worth it. Because I have talked with people all over the world. And I can't believe how many people I've talked with. And it's amazing. Now, I just got a short vertical. I got the Comet A250B antenna. As many of you heard in my videos, this is my favorite antenna. Once I learn how to type, of course. Comet Comet 250B. My bad. It's the Comet 250B antenna. This is my favorite antenna to use right here. The Comet. Let's see if I can get a picture. It used to be called the 250B, but this is my favorite radio to use. It's a 23 feet, 42-foot vertical antenna, 250 watts output. It goes from 80 meters all the way up to 6 meters. Now, my best luck is 20 through 10. 20 through 10 meters. I've had pretty good luck on 20 through 10 meters with this radio. 80 and 40 can get a little hairy because I have to use a built-in tuner. Why? I don't know why that is. It gets kind of confusing there. So, anyway, this is the vertical for those who are living in town. And if you're limited to spaces and don't want to upset the neighbors, this is the antenna I would recommend going with. It's $400, $430, and it's a good vertical. It's a very good vertical. I like it. In fact, I got two of them out here in my backyard. I got one hooked up to my 950 and my 3000, and they work extremely well, because I live in the street and I can't really go high. Like K3LR, I can't do anything like what he does. I wish I could. Trust me. And then, I'm trying to think what else I'm missing there. Oh, I know. So I wanted to show you this band plan, the same band plan here again. This is the VHF UHF band plan. This is the 23 centimeters, goes from 1240 all the way up to 1300 megs. Same breakdown, technician, general, and extra. You can transmit in certain areas there. Looks like amateur fast television you can do 1240 through 46, and then it breaks it down to digital, and then same vice versa again, and then 33 centimeters. I'm not too familiar with that band. Looks like you can do single sideband and FM on certain areas on that portion. 70 centimeters is the same thing as 2 meters. You can do pretty well on there. And then the 220 band, that's a local repeater. Those are for local areas like in your state, and DMR and all of that, vice versa. And then 2 meters is basically where you first start into getting your feet wet. Like with technician, that's where you want to start out first, is 2 meters. Find yourself a local radio club, get on the repeaters, which will be up here in the range from 146 all the way up to 148 basically is where your repeaters will be. And you'll make thousands and thousands of friends depending on where you live. But if you're passing through Montana, good luck. You're not going to get hardly anybody in 2 meters, trust me, if you're in Montana, because it's very limited, very limited. And then pretty much from 145 dot through 800, depending on conditions, you can get maybe the ISS, the International Space Station. And then for those faraway signals, if the conditions are just right, and it's very rare, from 144 through 300, you can contact those faraway places. But it's tricky. It can be very tricky. And 6 meters is the magic band. Right now, it's the magic. It's a very good band. It's a very magic band. And you'll love that band because you'll get to talk to people all over the place. All over the place. I mean, wow, it's amazing. And then, yeah, it's pretty fun. Amateur radio is the fun place to be. I mean, it is great. I mean, I have made thousands and thousands of friends. I mean, talk about, wow, what a difference. And they come from all walks of life. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I have never seen so many grand people. And then the best part about all this is, here's another thing that's really awesome. And I'm hoping maybe I'll show it, maybe. I'm going to see if I can get it on air. One of the best parts that I like about ham radio is QSL cards. That is truly amazing. I mean, wow. QSL cards are amazing to get. They're just amazing. I love QSL cards. I love it. I love it. I'm going to type in QSL cards. I'm going to show you an example of how they work here. Here's some examples of QSL cards. Now, the way these work is for two-way establishment. Let's say I contacted Kilo Zero November Radio. So what I'll do is I'll fill out my information where we first met. I'm just making this an example, of course. So I'll put confirming my QSO. I put my call sign here, KF7IWA, the day that I talked to him on, the month and the year. And then the UTC, which is Coordinated Universal Time. Let's say it goes from 0000 all the way up to 2400, I believe. And then the megahertz, depending on where I transmitted. Let's say I talked to him on 14.250. I would write that here on the MHZ side, megahertz. My signal report would go here, which is RST59. And then my mode, which is two-way, depending on where I talked, I would say either upper sideband, which is pretty much from 20 meters all the way up to 6 meters is upper sideband. And then from 40 on down is lower sideband. And then I would say, thank you for the QSL card if you sent me one, or please send me one, vice versa. And then I would say either mobile, portable, and normally there's other information here that would say what kind of radio I used and what grid, where the grid is. And for example, there's his address. But anyway, that's another example. And there are all kinds of QSL cards. I mean, some of them are pretty funny, some of them are okay, and there's all kinds. There's all kinds. Some of them are very fancy or pretty much plain. These are pretty much plain, and maybe one or two in there that are pretty fancy. So then that's how that gets started. And then here's some more QSL cards, and then here's a vintage one that was from long ago. Looks like QSL Marine SA. And then here's some others. That's pretty plain. And then, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can get into. And then, let's see. I'm hoping, I'm going to show you real quick here. I exit out of the Walmart screen here real quick. And let's see here. Here's some QSL cards for you guys that I've worked. So, Hopefully the camera will catch some of this. I'm hoping. Let's see. There's one I caught. Not sure how well that's going to go. He goes by AB8SM something. There's another one. Here's some of the ones I've gotten. Hopefully that's coming in okay, some of them. Not sure how well it is though. Looks like a factory of some kind. K2JJF is another one. K2JB. I mean, I got thousands and thousands of them. I mean, I made, and then the W1AW, I contacted that one. I've forgotten I had that one. That's interesting. And then here's another one. Let's see. Yeah, I like that one. And that's a KI4RM. I've forgotten I had that one. And then here's one. He must have been in the Army at one time, so thank you for your service in the Army. KF7PKL if you're out there watching someday. And then one from Louisiana. And then W6RFU CUSB. That was from a contesting I did. K2K. And then another one that I did. Thank you for your service if you're watching out there. That's an awesome one. And then N7 India Yankee was one. W Hotel 7 Tango. And these are just some examples. And then got one here. I believe this was in a net I checked into a long time ago. I believe. I might have checked into that net. And then here's one with his station. Sometimes people will show their radio stations, what they look like. And then, yeah, it's amazing what this can do. And then, looks like he must fly airplanes. He likes to fly airplanes, K4XG. And then here's one guy that likes to show off his towers, Sierra November 3 radio. And these are all people I've contacted. These are all the ones I've contacted. Here's some more. Kilo 4 Alpha Hotel Lima. That's another one I've made. I mean, and they get pretty interesting. Some of them are really interesting. And a lot of them like to show off their stations, their ham radio stations. A lot of them like to do that. And then there's one of the, I forgot to show that. That's one of, oh no, I can't think of the name of it. I forgot the name of it. I can't remember now. But anyway, that's just an example of what to do. Those are just some examples. And it's amazing. The hobby is just truly amazing. I love it. I love it. And I have talked with people all around the world. I mean, what amazes me about ham radio is the impossible becomes possible. And just a little dinky radio this big, or depending on the size, can go overseas or this or that. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So I tried to explain it the best way I could. I'm kind of tired tonight from last night because I just got off work about an hour or two ago, so I'm a little foggy in the brain, and I didn't feel like getting on the radio tonight. So this morning. So I thought maybe I'd just do a demonstration of how all the ham radio stuff works. And then here's another one. I got more QSL cards. Here's another folder of QSL cards. And you can save them in folders like this. You can get yourself some folders and just save the QSL cards. And I even got more stashed to the side of the wall here. And I'll show you some of them. I'll just show them off. Here's one. Hopefully I'll come into the radio camera real good. So there's one. And doesn't say, that's Mountain Hood. That's Mountain Hood. Wow. Hey, how you doing? Sugar Alpha 7BCK. Welcome on. How are you? Just doing a demonstration of how to get into ham radio today. Okay, and then here's another QSL card of USA, and he lives in, where is that? Connecticut. He lives in Connecticut. And then there's mine. That's mine, what I use. And then I got a couple other samples here that I like to use. Here's another example I like to use on my QSL card. Happy Easter, which is coming up very soon. And then here's mine. I like the display of this one. And then, let's see. This was another one I like to use. This one right here. Because I like antennas so much. And then I got a Christmas one here. Christmas. When Christmas time comes around, I just send this one out during Christmas. Not too bad. And then, yeah, it's pretty much it. And then, let's see if I can find some more here real quick. I'll show them off real quick. And then got one here. Goes by K9GWS. Another one below there. And then here's some right here. It says KM6KSQ. Looks like he's showing off his Harley and a couple digital stuff there. And then, like I was saying, some of them are pretty plain and some of them are interesting and boring. And then here's one with his tower antenna. I'm not sure what you call those beam antennas, why they're in a U shape like that. I'm not sure what you call them, but if anybody out there knows what they're called, I'd appreciate it if you comment below. His call sign is N8ERF. And then here's one. He likes nature. And then a Kilo Delta Zero, Norway Charlie. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And then, if you're real lucky, you'll get some funny ones like this one. If you're real lucky, you might get a funny one like this with a lizard crawling up your bed. And then you wake up and you're like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. Hey, yeah. Hey, thanks for that. I like that too. And yeah, and it's just a fun way to get into QSL cards and show your lack of care and how you make contact and just memorable stuff. And it's amazing how all this puts together. And yeah, I love it too. But without further ado, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I wasn't gonna go too far. I wasn't gonna go too crazy. And anyway, this hobby is amazing. It's amazing, and I love it. It's truly amazing. And hopefully that'll explain everything that I did. Hopefully I did okay. I hope I didn't miss anything. Did I miss anything, guys? Let me know if I missed anything, or did I cover everything here? I'm hoping I covered everything. Let me know, guys. Let me know if I missed anything. Give it a minute here. Okay. I must be, I covered everything. Okay. So yeah. So what you do is you just, for those of you who don't know what ham radio is, find yourself a partner and ask them if they know anybody that does radio clubs. And then get into the club, ask them how to get started. And then you go to, like I just said at the beginning of this shit. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, Andy. Thank you. Awesome. I appreciate that. 100. Hey, thank you, Roundhouse. Thank you. So, pretty much that's it. I believe I covered everything, and I'm going to get out of here because I'm a little bit tired. But anyway, starting tomorrow, we'll do either a DMR or HF video. And I'm going to say 73s to everybody here. Thank you for all the people that checked in. Thank you. And I'll tune in tomorrow. Same time, same channel at KF7IWA Ham Radio. Thanks, everyone, and catch you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.